In this video, we will walk you through step by step how to use EndNote X9. We'll show you how to create a library, import references from different sources, change the output style, organize your references into groups, and we'll demonstrate how to insert references into Microsoft Word by using the Cite While You Write function. Ahoy, Peter here from Brighter Training, and welcome to our walkthrough on how to use the main features of EndNote X9. Now, we've added detailed timestamps in the description below so you can easily come back and brush up on the key tips and tricks in the future. So remember to save or bookmark this video. Now, you can click on them now if you don't need the background. The tutorial starts at how to open EndNote in Windows. And if you find this all useful, please feel free to hit like, leave an encouraging comment, and share the video with your friends and colleagues. So first, what is EndNote? EndNote is a commercial reference managing software package used to manage bibliographies and references when writing essays or articles. So that means it's a place where you can store and organize all of your references that you find, and it's a program that creates formatted citations for your reports and publications using over 7,000 different referencing styles. Of course, it can do a lot more, such as attach PDFs to references and do database searches, so we're going to be covering all the main topics to get you started. Now, these main topics here are in this video, and again, check the timestamps in the description to see all of the different features that we're going to cover. So let's jump in. I'm assuming you've already got EndNote installed. This is what the icon looks like, and I've got it down on my taskbar. If you've just installed it, click on Start, scroll down to the E for EndNote, and this is what it looks like. So when you open it for the first time, EndNote will always try and open up the last library file that you had opened. In this case, I've deleted the file so that I can do this tutorial, so I'm getting an error message. So if something like this pops up, just click OK. And as you can see, we've got this gray screen, which is our EndNote start screen. So the first thing we need to do is create a library file. To do that, we click on File, come down to New. Now, EndNote is already giving me a recommended name for my library. That's a perfectly good name. However, keep in mind if I want to share this file with someone else and they've also kept that default name, it's going to get a little bit confusing. So I do recommend you rename the library. I'm just going to put in my name here. However, you can put in your name, you can put in the name of the course that you're doing or the subject that you're doing. Take note that it does save as a .enl file, and I'll explain why that's important in just a moment. And EndNote now saves your new library files to your My Documents folder. I'm going to leave it here for the moment. I recommend that you move it onto a network drive or a cloud drive so that you can access your library anywhere, but do make sure that you keep a regular backup of your library file. The developers of EndNote actually recommend that you just save it on a local drive. So if you put it on a network or put it on the cloud, make sure you've got a backup. So I will hit save here, and this will create my new blank library file. Now, if I jump back into My Documents, just to show you, this is the peter.enl file that we've just created, but take note that it's also created a peter.data folder. So both of these files are needed in order to access the library. So if you do move your library onto another drive, or if you share your library with somebody, you do need to use both of these files. They always need to be kept together. You can't separate those. So let's jump into using EndNote. Now, the first thing we want to have a look at is we need to add references to our library. And there are three different ways that we can get references into the library. The first one is using a library platform such as a university library. The second one is going directly to a different database such as PubMed or Google Scholar. And the third way is doing a search within EndNote itself. It does have an online search function. So I'll go through and explain how to do all of those. So the first one we're going to have a look at is how to find a reference using a library site. Now, all the universities will have very similar libraries online. They'll have different databases and different links, and they'll have a little search bar here. So what I'm just going to have a look at is topics such as mental health treatment. You can type in whatever the topic is you're looking for, and you hit search, and it will bring up a list of publications that may be suitable. Now on the right hand side, what I can also do is start filtering these results. So if I only want peer-reviewed journals, for example, I can click on this, apply filters, and then as you'll see, all of the results that come back are all peer-reviewed journals. So it makes it a lot easier when I need to actually find reputable results for my publication. So I will go through and I'm going to select maybe these first 5 references. I think they might be good for what I'm looking for. And if I scroll up to the top, I've got these little ellipses, a little dot, 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 which is my options. If I click on that, I've got the option to export EndNote /RIS. So we want to use this one. Export BibTeX is a different platform. So when you're using EndNote on the desktop, we want to click on this. We leave the encoding as it is and we hit download. Now, because I'm using this particular browser, it downloads that file to the bottom of my screen. Google Chrome will do the same. If you're using Firefox, it'll download it directly into EndNote for you. So I click on my downloaded file, and as we can see, it has now imported 5 references into my library. So as easy as that. Now, the second way I can go about adding another reference is by using an online database. So if I come back to my internet browser, I can go straight to the actual database, the PubMed one in this example. I do recommend that you go to if you're at university, go to your school library, find the database and access the database from your library. That way you'll get full access to all the publications. If you go straight to the site, straight to the database online, you'll normally need to log in order to get full access to everything. So here I found the database, I click on PubMed, and here we are. And I can look for mental health documentations and hit search. And very similar to the online library, I can apply different filters here and look for different publication dates and different article types. And if there is a few articles that I would like to import, I can click on that. And if I come up to the top of the screen, you can see I've got the option to save, email, or send to. If I click on send to, I've got the option for citation manager, and that is what EndNote is. So it's telling me that there's 4 different references I've selected. I click create file, and once again, it's added my new downloaded file here. I click on that, and it has now imported these new 4 references into my library. And that's only showing the 4 most recent imported ones. And if I click on all references, I can now see all 9 of the references that I have imported. So I'll just go in and import another file just to demonstrate how that works again. So if I come back into PubMed, this time there may be an actual reference I'm looking for. I'm not sure if it's the one I want. So if I click on this one, and I can have a quick read through the abstract, and I can decide, yes, actually this is relevant, this is what I'm looking for. So what I can do is just at the top of the actual article, I've got these same options, save, email, and send to. I can click on send to, citation manager, and create file. It will create that reference down the bottom here. And if I click on that, once again, I can see this new reference that I've imported, and that also gets added to my all references folder. Now, before I show you the final way to import a reference, which is through the database built into EndNote, I just want to go through and show you how you can import, for example, a PDF. So if someone has sent me a reference they think will be useful for my writing, but I want to import that into EndNote so I can keep all my references together. So in order to do that, really straightforward, I just click on File, come down to Import, and Import File. Now, it's already got PDF selected here, which is the type of file I'm importing, but of course you can choose any other different type of file you are importing. Then I click on Choose, I choose my PDF, and I click Open, and then Import. So that's just connecting, and now you'll be able to see that it's added my PDF. It's got all the details already, so I can tell that this is a fairly modern PDF file. It's got all the metadata saved to it. And if I come over to click on that one and come over to my reference tab, I can see all the information here. So it's already found the DOI, it's found all the metadata and it's put that in for me. If I click on the preview tab, this is what it will look like when I actually use this as a reference or in my bibliography. It's using the format of APA7 over here. And if I was to change that to different options, so Vancouver, for example, that's what it will look like. So you can simply change the different styles in this section here. If you can't find the style that you need to use, click on select another style and you've got a database of about 7,000 different styles that you can choose from. So I'll pop that back to APA 7th. Now this tab here is the PDF, the full text PDF version of what I've just imported. And if I click this little open PDF button here, that will open it up for me. So while I've got this open, I'll just show you two other really good tricks once you open your PDF. The first one is you've got a little highlight button, which is highlight text. If I click on that and highlight different parts, as you can see, I can highlight relevant sections for myself. And the other cool thing I can do is click on the sticky note button. And if I click somewhere else, it puts a little comment box on the PDF, which I can double click on and I can put in whatever text I want. I can make a comment to a colleague, or I can leave little notes for myself for ideas for how I can use this information or for the publication that I'm doing. So in order to save that, we come up to the top right hand side, we click this tiny little X here, and it will prompt you to ask if you want to save the changes. I'll say yes. And what that will do is bring us back to EndNote, and you can see here the annotations and my notes and my comments have all been saved onto the PDF. So that is great when you import a PDF file that's already got the information you need. However, sometimes you'll get given a copy of a PDF that hasn't got the information already saved to it. So I'll show you what I mean. If I come back down to Import, File, it's already set to PDF. So I'm going to choose my file that I want to import. Click on the Import button. Now, already we can see that there's a difference here. The details are missing from this screen. And if I come back over to my reference pane, there's no information saved. If I click on Preview, there's no information. So the only thing I've actually got is the full text version of the file. Now, this could either be because it's an older publication or an older file, or whoever has created the PDF and the formatting, they haven't saved the metadata properly. So what I will need to do is manually enter the relevant information on this. So this is really similar to adding information to the PDF is similar to if you want to create a brand new reference, and you'll normally create a brand new reference when you found information you want to use from a particular website. So I'm going to use that as an example, but it works the same way whether you're updating a PDF or whether you're putting in a website reference. So to demonstrate how that works, I'm going to jump back to my browser. I'm going to do a Google search, and I'm going to look for mental health treatment, which is the topic I'm looking for. And if I scroll down through past the different ads, I might find a website that I think is useful. So this is a Victorian government website. So I'll click on that one. Now, some websites will actually have a button where you can import the citation or import it into a citation manager. So I'll have a quick look. There doesn't seem to be a button here. It makes life much easier if there is. I'll scroll down to the bottom and okay, so there is no button to import this automatically. So I'm going to need to manually add this to EndNote. So I'll just take note of a couple of things. This was last updated October 2019, so I'll need that date. And I know it's from the Victorian government. So what I'll do is I will come back to EndNote, and there's two ways that I can enter a manual reference. The first one is come up to the menu bar, click on References, and go to New Reference. Or there's also a little button here, looks like a document with a plus sign, which is New Reference. And if I click on that, it'll bring up a template for adding a new reference to your database. So we know the author is the Victorian government. We remember the last time it was updated, the year was 2019. Now I can add the title just by coming back here. I can highlight the title, copy and paste that in. I can scroll down and see if there's any other information I can put in. So for example, the date that it was accessed is today, which is the 4th of the 2nd, 2021. Scroll down and see if there's anything else I might want to add. So the URL, again, I can come back to the website. I can copy that and paste that in. And in order to save, I come back up to the top right-hand corner, click the little X. It's asking if I want to save the changes. I click yes. And now we can see that that information's been added in, and it's added in some more of that details here on my reference pane. Now, if I click on preview, one thing I'll notice is that EndNote has tried to save the author as an individual name, instead of, in this case, an organization. So I'll need to correct that because it is wrong. If I come back over to my reference and I double click on that, and where it's got the author of the Victorian government, I just need to add a comma and a space. And this is just one of those little tips and tricks that you need to learn. In order for EndNote to recognize this as an organization, I need to add comma, space. I come up here to the top right and I click the little X. I choose yes to save. And now we can see that it's actually showing the Victorian government. So we've gone through the output style. Once again, if I wanted to see that in a different way, I can change it to Vancouver, APA 6, APA 7, and it will change automatically there. I do recommend that manually entering a reference should pretty much be the last choice that you make, only if there's no other option, just because it's a lot easier to make an error or leave out important information. So ideally, if there's a button or an option to import into the citation manager, then definitely use that. So the last way that we can add a reference into our new library is by using the databases directly connected to EndNote. And to do that, we're going to use these three buttons up here. So this first one is our local library. And this is the one that you will be using most of the time. It's the references that you choose to import and what you've got saved to your local system. Now this one here is an online search mode, and it will allow you to search for different databases. So if we click on that, online search, we've got PubMed that I used before. We can also click more, and there's a lot of different catalogs and databases that you can access. The third option is an integrated library and online search mode. So it's actually a combination of your local library, which as you can see here, and the online search mode. Now the thing to be aware of with this one is any references that you search for online in this option will automatically get added to your local library. So if you do a really broad search, I'll demonstrate what it looks like. If I click on PubMed, I want to search for a particular author. In this case, I'll search for Dr. Walker. And it's showing me that there's 6,054 different references have come back. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to cut that down to 20. But just keep in mind here, my local library currently has 13. So if I click OK, and it's going to search PubMed for articles by Dr. Walker, and it's brought them up, 20 references that we've selected. However, it has automatically added those to my local library. So if I come back here, all of those have been added. So it's really important to keep in mind, if you do a really broad search and bring up 4,000 or 5,000 different references, if you're using this integrated library and online search mode, it is going to add all of those results to your local library, and that can be really, really frustrating. So just be aware of which tab you're on. Now, in exactly the same way, if I just want to use the online search mode, which is a temporary search mode, and I can then choose which ones I bring into my local library, we do the same thing. We just select, make sure we select the database. Every time you do a new search, you'll need to select the database that you're looking for. And this time what we can do is, for example, if someone's given you a particular ID or a particular reference to look for, so what we can do is come back to PubMed. Because it's PubMed, it's got something called a PMID, or you may have the DOI. So if someone's told me a specific one to look for, I can come here to PubMed, select PMID, put in the number that I'm searching for. It's telling me that it's found one there. And in just a moment, here is the one that I want. So I can now choose to add that to my online reference by going right click, and I can do copy reference to, and I can come down to peter.enl. So if I had 10 different libraries, it'll show all my libraries and I can put it in the appropriate one. I've only got the one, so I can do that. So once again, if I just want to search for Dr. Walker, I can do a search on PubMed. It will bring up 10 of these different options that I'm looking for. And if I wanted to import these ones, I can highlight them, right click. I want to copy reference to, and I can copy them to my peter.enl. And as we can see, they've been added here. So I'll come back to my local library. There's all my information, there's all my references. So the next thing I'll show you while we're here is just how to change the layout of EndNote. So in the bottom right hand corner, there is a little button called Layout. And as you can see, if you'd prefer to have your references pane at the bottom of the screen, that might make more sense for you. You can certainly do that, and you can rearrange things. I can choose to split that as well. So I have my PDF over here and my reference and preview pane here. So if I click on a reference, we can see what it looks like. And I can choose to turn different panels on and off. So it's a matter of just rearranging it as you want. I can also change the column width here, and I can also choose the different columns that I've got. So for example, I can right click on one of the column headings, and you can see I can add different things such as the pages, and it will tell me the pages for each reference. So again, you can personalize things just by right clicking on the column heading. You can only have a certain number of columns. So if you want to add something new, you can see it's grayed out. I'll need to remove one so that I can add another one. So now that we've got that set, we've got all these great references in our library. However, you may want to go back and check the actual full text version of it and read the PDF version of it. So in order to do that, there is actually a really good little option within EndNote that will allow you to search for the PDF. So what we'll do is highlight the references, and ideally I'd love to have a full text version of these. So there's a couple of ways I can search for it. I can come up to the References tab at the top of the screen, and I can scroll down to Find Full Text and click on this one. Or the other option is, change that back. The other option is I can come up here, and there's a little Adobe symbol in a magnifying glass, which is a Find Full Text button. So I highlight the articles or the references I want to search for. I click that button, and you can see that it is searching 11 references, trying to find a PDF or a full text version. And we can see here it's already found 2 or 3, and it's added those now using a little paperclip icon. So I know that it's now attached it to my reference. One of them hasn't been found. One of them is actually found a particular URL that I can click on to find it. So to see what it looks like, I can click on one of these. It's still doing a search. So I can see all the different references here. I can go to the preview tab, but now if I click on the PDF tab, it's actually given me a full text version. Again, I can click on this button to open it up. I can edit, add notes, highlight text, and close that. So it's actually found a few for me here. So if I click on those, you can see I've now got the full text version, and that makes life so much easier if I need to actually do a bit more reading on that reference. So the next thing we want to have a look at is organizing all of this. So we've got a whole lot of different references here that we've found in all these different methods. Now I want to be able to sort them and organize them in a way that helps me use them effectively for my writing. So over on the left-hand side, we've got a little My Groups section. And what I can do is right click on that and go to Create Group. And I can create a number of groups. I'll call this one Essay. I can come back, right click, and Essay number 2. I could have a different group for different subjects that I'm doing or different publications that I'm writing. Now, if I'm doing these ones alone as a sole author, I can keep adding them here. But for example, say I'm authoring something or doing some research with some colleagues and I'm co-authoring. what I can do is right click, and instead of going to create group, I can do create group set, and I can change this one to co-author, or I could also add in different group sets for different subjects that I'm studying. And then what I can do is within this new group, right click, add create group, and that is project number 1. And I can right click again, and I can put in new groups under that. So you can add as many group sets and as many groups as you want in order to help you organize things. Now, in order to add my references to the group, each reference can be added to multiple groups. So that's very handy if you're using the same references. And there's a couple of ways that I can do that. So I can highlight the references, I can right click, and I can do add references to, and I can add it to any one of these new groups that I've just created. Or the other alternative is highlight the references, and I can simply drag and drop them into the different groups. So highlight, drag and drop, and we can see them there. Now, if I've accidentally put a reference in, or I've decided I no longer want to use that and I want to remove it, I can simply click on that. I can do right click, and I can remove the reference from group, and it will say, do you want to delete this reference from the group? The reference will not be deleted from your library. So that's a good thing. I'm still going to keep the reference. It's just not going to be in this particular group. I say yes, and you can see the numbers decrease there, but all references have stayed the same. So I can also move the reference to the trash if I don't want it at all. So I can right click, move to trash. It's taken it out of there, and it's taken it out of my references folder, and it's added it to the trash folder. And if I did that accidentally and I think, oh, I actually don't want to do that, I can simply take this and drag it back into my references folder. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this other file up here, this other folder called unfiled. And this will show you all the references in your library that you haven't allocated to a particular group. So it can be useful if you're looking for a particular reference, you know you've got a great one for your essay, and you just can't seem to find it, then click on unfiled, and chances are you've just overlooked it, you forgot to put it in the right group, so you can come here and you can add that to your essay group as well. So that's pretty much how we use EndNote to set up the database and import references. Now, the other key part of using EndNote is, of course, doing in-text citations. And EndNote uses a little service that it calls Cite While You Write, and it's absolutely fantastic and a massive time saver. So if I come into Microsoft Word, I've got a document that I'm using here. Now, when you install EndNote onto your computer, it will automatically add this EndNote X9 tab to your Microsoft Word program. And you've got some different citation options, bibliography, and some other tools. So there's two ways that you can import references into your text. You can either do it directly through Microsoft Word through this tab, or you can import your citations directly from EndNote. So I'll show you both ways of doing that. First of all, what we always want to check is that you've got the correct library open. So as we said at the start, EndNote will always open up the most recent library that you've used. So if you've got multiple libraries, you just want to make sure you've got the correct one open so that you can access the references that you need. I've only got the one, so that's not a problem, and it is open in the background. So next, what I'm going to do is I've written some text and I want to add a citation to that. I can either click this little drop down list here and click insert citation, or just click on the little quotation button. It will bring up different references. At the moment, it's searching through mental health. If I put A and press enter, it will actually bring up all of my references, or I can do a search for a particular author, and it will also bring up any references that Walker has contributed to. And in order to add this, I can do 1 or 10, doesn't really matter. I can highlight the different references and click insert. And you can see here that it has now automatically added those. So if I wanted to add another one, I can do insert citation, click on one and insert, and you can see it's added it here. The other great thing is, as you can see, it's already added all of my references in a table at the end. So I can add a little heading. This becomes my bibliography or my reference table. If I come back to my EndNote tab, we can see it's using APA7. I can easily change that. I can select another style and search the database for 7,000 different styles. Or for example, if I'm using Vancouver, if I change it here, it will automatically change my reference table and it will automatically change the way the references are formatted in the text. If I come back and change it to APA 7th again, it will change the way it's written here and it will update my reference table. So if I click on a reference, it turns grey. That's how you know that it's a reference which has been imported from EndNote, which is really important. And the next thing I guess I just want to point out is if you want to remove one of these references, there is only one correct way to move or to delete a reference from Microsoft Word once you've imported it this way. So do not use the delete key, do not use the backspace key, don't use Control X. What we want to do is click on the reference that you want to remove. It's best to click on it in your actual text so that it will bring up that relevant section. And if we come up to citations, you've got an option that says edit and manage citations. So if I click on that, you can see that it's put itself on the one that I selected. I can then do a drop down list, remove citation and click OK. And that has now, this is all very dynamic. So any changes I make or anything I add will automatically be changed in my in-text citations and my reference list will automatically be updated. So it's just really important to remember that EndNote puts a lot of coding behind the scenes that you can't see so that it can automatically update your references and get the style right. So if you delete your references using delete or backspace, it can mess up that coding, which means it won't automatically update correctly if you change styles or add new references. So always, if you need to make a change, even if you just want to change one, there's 3 here. If I want to change one, click on Edit and Manage Citation, choose the one that I want to get rid of, click on Remove Citation and click on OK. And as you can see, it's done that and it's updated the information here. So the other way that I can add a citation other than through Word is through EndNote directly. So if I come back to EndNote, look at all my references, and what I can actually do is up here, if I choose the reference I want, I've got a little button that just says Insert Citation. So before I insert it though, I just want to double check that my cursor is in the right place in my document. So there's a little Microsoft Word button here. If I click on that, it takes me here. I can double check that my cursor is in the right spot, and then I can come back to EndNote and I can click Insert. And as you can see, it's added that. I can add a space before or after it, and it's automatically added. This is lots of authors on that one. It's added it to my reference. So if I decide I don't want that one, Edit and Manage Citations, Edit Reference, Remove, click OK. So the only other thing I want to point out here is when you have actually added a reference, for example, I've added it to the end of this text and I'm using APA 7, so it's put it in brackets. So if I wanted to instead use this reference as to show that I'm paraphrasing, so I want to add the author to the top of my paragraph and paraphrase what they've said. Once again, I can do Insert Citation. I find my reference that I want. I can either click this little drop down arrow here and do Insert and Display as Author or Exclude Author or Exclude Year. So I can do different options. And as you can see, it now says R.J. Walker et al. And I can change that. So I can click on it, right click, I can come down to Edit Citations. I can change it back to the default for APA 7. Or I can remove the year altogether. Or Edit Citations. I can exclude the author and just have the year. So there's different ways of changing the way it is displayed just by right-clicking and going down to Edit Citation. So that should be more than enough to get you using EndNote. Like with anything, it takes a bit of time and practice, so play with the different functions and remember you can always come back here to review the instructions. The timestamps are in the description to make it easier for you to find the part that you need. Remember to save the video or bookmark it so you can easily come back. And please feel free to leave a like or a comment if you found this useful, and also feel free to share it with your colleagues or any other students that may benefit. Thanks again for tuning in, and as always, have a great day.